What's up, y'all? We've got two exciting events coming up. This Monday, we have the first annual Ted Jones World Neat Burger Eating Competition at 25 Cleveland Place. Neat Burger, Monday, September 4th at 2 p.m. It's going to be freaking lit, guys. Check the link in this YouTube video. And also, a week from today, we have the Ted Jones Comedy Show at the Moxie, Chelsea 105 West 28th Street. That's going to be a freaking banger. The lineup's lit. Everything is quite lit. So enjoy the episode. 3, you might get up to 10. 4, yes. 5, clean. Okay, he works out. Let's go.
I'm only gonna do one more. I can do more.
Aren't you gonna be out of breath now? No, you're good. You're an energetic guy. Energetic kid.
I'm going right after this.
What gym do you go to? You going twice?
Yeah, well, just today. Because
What gym do you go to? Equinox?
Wait, why would you say that?
I feel like you're like a chic, kind of trendy workout guy,
What?
and you'd go to Equinox. Where do you go? Crunch?
Equinox.
I go to Equinox's cousin.
Wait,
it's
what is
poor
it?
cousin.
What, Blink?
Blink, yes.
Yeah.
But dude, you know what's also funny? Everybody except for Uber Eats drivers will pull the door and be like, the door's locked downstairs.
Oh.
But the Uber Eats drivers just
yeah.
figured out that's a push.
Which is weird because I didn't even think about pushing.
Yeah, that usually happens.
I was like, it's.
And comedians are smart too.
But
like,
isn't that
just
weird?
push.
Because I'm like, oh, I pulled.
Yeah,
Oh, his
and that
door.
was
I'm
it.
like,
His
I
door's
pulled.
locked.
And I'm like, there's no, in my mind, pushing wasn't even rational enough that
Yeah.
I just gave up.
Yeah.
That's kind of a metaphor for life.
What are you drinking here, first and
Okay,
foremost?
so I am, and this kind of goes into why I'm working out 2 times a week right now. Oh, I should
2 times a day.
Oh yeah, I should cross my legs because
We'll zoom in on that.
it's ripped. So it's just whew.
Black tea? See, I
Sorry.
told you were going to be tired.
No, the caffeine. It's like hitting me. I've
Black
had 2
tea?
diet pills, and then this is what is it? Just like, that coffee. What's it called?
Pressed coffee or whatever?
No, like when you order iced coffee at a coffee shop, instead of giving you just like watered down coffee, they give you
Americano? Espresso?
No, the really, really strong one.
Cold brew.
Cold brew.
It looks pretty light for cold brew. But why are you on this health kick? Diet pills?
Because I'm going to
working out
Fire
2 times
Island
a day?
this weekend.
Oh, shit.
And I have body dysmorphia.
You should just stop eating until you get there.
Well, what do you think I'm trying to do? This is like my only thing.
Have you
I'm
not
joking.
eaten today?
No, I've eaten.
Oh, okay.
I eat. I actually have like a protein shake in my bag that I'll eat. But I like to do 2 cups of coffee a day, morning and afternoon, which is kind of bad.
It suppresses the hunger, though.
Yeah. And it helps regulate.
Yeah, and like it flushes everything
work
out.
out.
I have a Trenta iced coffee every morning from Starbucks for the most part. So I usually won't eat
that's called expensive.
until like 4 o'clock.
Seriously?
Yeah, today I ate a little bit before, but usually I won't eat until 4 o'clock.
And
I'll
you're
eat
not-
from like 4 to 9 p.m.
That's like a bottoms
Yeah, what does that
Diet.
mean?
diet.
Oh
You
yeah.
just don't eat.
Oh no, I like that. Yeah, I'm a bottom guy. I would say.
You're like a 10 a.m. guy messaging people you up.
But the thing is, like, I will eat as much as I can for the most part, from like 4 to 9. I'm a vegan, so I'll just eat anything.
Wait, did you just say I'm gonna eat as much as I can from 4 to 9? 5 hours?
Yeah, for the most part. I just eat like whatever I
Most
want.
people
It
eat
helps
from
my
like
diet.
9 to
So,
like 11.
Yeah.
You're
I know. Like
the way you just
14
said it though,
hours.
it made it seem like it was good. But I will want to say, like,
Yeah.
your setup here is quite impressive.
I appreciate that, man. So
Not just that, but the branding.
today actually marks 4 years of the Ted Jones World podcast. So you're on the anniversary episode.
And it's ranked number 1 on iTunes.
It's ranked number 1 on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, everywhere you listen to podcasts. In Mexico, we have Espanol version.
You know, when
we have a little bit of
I do
everything.
a podcast too. I need to start back up. I interview older adults. It's called I Hope This Ages Well. It's cute. It's a cute podcast.
And you also had a funny name for one of your shows. It was like, Even God is Gay. But it's like, even though
I'll do that.
even
Yeah.
God knows I'm
But
gay.
what I want to say first to that was like, but when I upload podcast episodes, there's always all these streamers that you can choose, and some of the things I've never heard in my life before. Like we've heard of like the Apple, the iTunes, and stuff like that, but then there's just like Pandora. I still
Amazon
think is
Music,
thing.
yeah.
And I'm like,
there's
who's listening to this?
a lot of different streaming services. I think it's because in some countries it's just like they're not available. You know what I mean?
Now I feel very
Random
Americanized.
countries, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's a learning opportunity for me. I don't know, but the show I did. So I used to do So I used to live in London, right? That's where I kind of like started, I guess, comedy in a sense. Like really kind of got into it. I didn't really get into it until I came to New York in my mind. But over there in London, like everyone does their hour. Everyone needs to do an hour, whether you're good or not good. Everyone's like pushing an hour every year. And so my very first hour that I did a show was called Even God Knew I Was Gay. That was like the show title, and it was all around my coming out. Like that was the premise of it. But the reason why it's named like that is because one of my cousins is gay too, and they're all from my dad's side. Well, like I think my dad's lineage just has a lot of gay genes. But he came to me. He's like, he's like, Beto, like you came out. Like I did what I consider like the proper come out of like coming out. Oh, I'm gay to people. He's like, and I never came out to people. I never had to come.
Your dad said that about you?
No, my cousin that's gay said that.
Okay.
He's like, I never had to come out, and I was like, well, his name is Jorge. I was like, Jorge, like. You don't have to come out. Like even my dog.
Everybody knew he was
I was like,
gay.
my dog
Even
knows
God
you're gay.
knew he
And I was
was
like,
gay.
even God knew you were gay. And then that's what the show title.
Well, how did you come out?
Oh, that's a good question. So I used to live in Italy, right? Yeah.
Where were you born?
I was born in
from
Washington
there.
State.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm like Washington State.
Traveler, though.
My parents grew up I was raised in Yakima, Washington. So I have a whole thing around it. But Yakima is a very small conservative town, but it's a big agriculture city. So like Yakima proper is a big export of different things, apples, fruits, stuff like that.
And is this because of like the rainy climate out there in Washington?
Well, Washington State just has like, it has proper like seasons. So it has really, really good like summers, really, really like good springs. It gets a lot of rain, but it's also just a good environment to like, grow crops. Actually, the Yakima region is like getting known for like their wineries and stuff like that. Like it's like that type of thing. So it's like coming up in that sense. And like beer too, like a lot of hops. Like I say I'm from Yakima, Washington. That's kind of a lie. I'm from a smaller town called Moxie, Washington. Moxie is like...
How do you spell that?
Moxee.
Oh, I was going to say like the Ted Jones Comedy Show at the Moxie...
Oh,
which you're doing a week from today. That was a perfect little product placement. Nice
For that the Moxie Hotel sponsored my town. No, but like so it's Moxie, and it's tiny. Like it's when I grew up there, I think probably less than 1,000 people. Like it's tiny, right?
Oh wow!
Like no stoplights still to this day. Like you would
walk
everywhere.
How close is that to Seattle? How close is it?
My town,
yeah.
About 2.5 hours around. So yeah,
pretty far.
But then Yakima's like around 20 minutes walk. That's a bigger town, but not really that big. Anyways, the whole point is Moxie is a big grower of hops, like for what you use for like beer and stuff like that. That every year we have a hop festival.
Oh, cool!
Like that's weird, right? I always thought it was like
I don't even know what hops are. I know that it's in beer, but what is it?
It's just like it's like plants.
So it just makes it taste
it grows
better?
up. I don't know exactly the science behind it. I just know it's also something, and it stinks really bad. Like when it's in full season and people are like, picking it or whatever like that. The machines, like you smell hops everywhere. So it's really smelly. But to like celebrate, the season in around August, we would have a hop festival in the park, right? And like it's a pretty big deal for the town, and other people from other towns would come in because you would just have different activities. When you grow up in a really, really small town like that, anything, it feels like it's a big deal. But like, that's where we could have like funnel cakes and like elephant ears and like
fried
good popcorn,
Oreos.
Stuff like that. I lost my, oh yes.
How you came out.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So anyways, that's where I grew up, and then I moved to Seattle and then worked there, and then my work at the time moved me to Italy when I was like 22.
Did you go to high school in Seattle, or you went?
No, I went to high school in Moxie.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I went to Seattle for college, and then from there, when I graduated, the company I worked for sent me to Italy to work, and so that's like I went to Italy for a year. I was there like in southern Italy. Grottalia, if anybody knows the Puglia region, and it's very, very Italian. Like it's Italian as you could. Like when you think of Italy, that's what the town was. So it's like because southern Italy and northern Italy is very different. Like northern Italy is very much like business and like corporate stuff like that. Southern Italy is southern, like crops, fields. And so I used to work for an airplane manufacturer, and like so it's a huge thing there. Like there's a lot of space to build airplanes and parts of airplanes, like the middle part of the 787, if you're into like that type of stuff. And so I was there. Anyways, at the end, I remember like I just needed to escape Seattle because it felt like the world was on me. And then when I went over there, then at the end of the trip, my mom has never been outside of like Mexico or the US, right? Like she
came from Mexico to Washington.
Yeah, both my parents did. I'm Mexican. And so like she had never visited anywhere. So I was like, how cool would it be if I brought my mom over to Europe? Like an experience. She's also very Catholic. I could take her to the Vatican and stuff like that. So anyway, I brought her and my aunt, who's her sister, we did like a little mini Europe vacation for like 10 days. We went to Barcelona, and then we went to Paris, and then we went to Rome, and we landed in Barcelona. And then like that night, I was like, "Mom, I have to tell you something." And now she's
you guys all had like a few glasses of wine though. You were loose.
We weren't even like. I went to because we got separate hotel rooms, and I went to her hotel room, and I was like, "I have to tell you something." And she's like, "What?" And I was like, "I'm gay." And she's like, she hugged me, and I started crying.
Did she say she knew though?
No, which is weird, right?
Okay.
That's the thing with Mexican parents is like, oh wait, before that, then after that, I called my brother, my older brother, and I was
Hermano.
like, yeah, I was like, Antonio, I was like, are you sitting down? And he goes, yeah, and I was like, I'm gay. Like I thought he was gonna like faint, which is why I asked if he's sitting down, which is kind of weird. But no, they didn't know, and like,
so you were like 21 at this time?
I was like
after
22,
college,
22 or 23, probably around there, 22, 23. Which my only regret of coming out was just not coming out sooner, because like I missed my slutty frat boy years in college.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just to be passed
absolutely.
around one of the frat houses and not tell anybody. Like,
just
we
one of
all
the-
deserve
one of the
that
frat
phase.
houses. Which frat house though? Would you prefer? Like
any.
API, SAE?
I don't know any single like white fraternities, but like any of them would
have
have
been
been
Washington
fine.
University? Where'd you go to
University
college?
of Washington.
University of Washington.
Yeah.
You're a Husky.
Wow.
So I went to UConn, so we're Huskies also.
Oh yeah. Oh, is
We're
that
the
a good-
Husky dogs.
Wait, which university is better?
It's a good question. Well, at basketball and sports, we're
No, I
better.
don't care
You mean
about
academically?
academics, yeah.
I think we're kind of like right in the same
I think
area.
we are.
Should we pop up the rankings right here and we'll see?
I don't
We're popping up the rankings right here.
My phone's off.
No, I know, but we're popping it up post-production, so you see it right here. I think maybe University of Washington's like a few spots ahead of UConn, but it might be indifferent.
All I know
each year.
is like the way I
And
applied.
my cousin went there.
Wait, to University of Washington?
Yeah, she just graduated. She had like a radio show there,
What?
which is cool.
Did she have me on it?
She might.
That's
I
a
know.
credit.
She's younger than us.
Oh, really?
I believe. Yeah, she's like 21. She just graduated.
Like, do you know, I only applied to University of Washington. That's the only school I applied to after school. So if I didn't get into that, I don't know what I would have done. Which is a pretty interesting bet to have, because it's not.
I'm sure you had a pretty good chance. So you had good grades.
I think because I had
Parents were
I was like,
immigrants.
I think because like I'm Mexican and I can speak English okay, I probably have a good chance.
It would have been tougher if you like just like a white kid.
But you know what would have super guaranteed me at the time is if I
you were
disclosed I was gay.
Definitely.
I probably could have gotten a lot more scholarships.
Yeah, but there you go.
Give this little faggot.
Okay, so you grew up in Washington. You went to Italy. You came back to the United States, then went to London. What's the deal?
Came back to the U.S., went back to Seattle for a bit. Did that, and then I applied to a job in
London.
I know, actually, what's weird is I just applied. I worked for like this big company. Everyone knows it. You use it probably at least weekly, and like
iPhone.
No. Like it's Amazon, right? I don't care enough to. It's
Do you want me to
Amazon,
bleep it out?
No, I don't care.
Okay.
And so like I applied.
Love it.
Yeah, I know.
It's
who
my
doesn't?
favorite.
I mean,
and some people don't, which is weird. Some people will like go out of their way to like say it's something else is more convenient. I'm like,
look,
Amazon's the most convenient thing of all time.
I get that. Like, power to the people.
Yeah.
And sometimes I like also buy a book from like a store because I'm like, whatever. But then like, I think ultimately if we want to the change needs to come from like our legislation, and like your individual actions are good for your own like purpose that you need to say. But really your time is best spent in my mind, like getting your local legislative to like pass laws that are more representative of you as a community.
Okay.
Or whatever, right? I don't know. You can bleep that part out. Oh yeah, what was it? Oh yeah, so I applied to one of their jobs, and it happened to be in London, and I didn't know this at the time until I got interviewed, and they were like, "Are you okay moving to London?" And I was like, "Wow." I was like, "Yeah, okay." And anyways, I got it. So yeah, they moved me, and I was there for 4 years.
Wow.
Did that, and then I knew I wanted to come back to the U.S., and I just didn't know. Like, so what happened was like I came to New York. A company flew me out here for the last interview, and when I was here, I was in a last interview for a different company in LA, And then I went from New York and flew to LA, did my last round, and then flew back to London. When I landed in London, which is cool, is I had both job offers. And so I was like, do I want to move to LA or do I want to move to New York?
Oh, shit.
Right? It's like, it's kind of a cool like thing to say. And I was always told, if you want to be a famous comic, you move to LA. If you want to be a great comic, you move to New York. And I love comedy and like love the art of comedy, that I want to be a great comic. And so here I am.
Were you an engineer? Is that where you were working in Italy, working for planes?
No, I've always worked really, really close with engineering, but I've always worked on like the business side of it.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's why I like.
What was working on the planes though initially?
Oh yeah. So I worked in supplier management side of it. So like you have to work closely with engineering because you have to know how like the plane is kind of designed, what parts kind of go together.
Did you make any private planes?
No, it's all public. It's all public. It's all like the bigger like 787 that are
Well, I mean,
corporations.
sometimes those are private. Like I have a fascination on like Instagram. I'll follow like the enormous 787 accounts that are like $250 million planes.
To like Saudi prince and stuff like that.
Literally have like a gold throne. In
everything.
The middle.
Yeah, all the weight associated. It's like so outlandish. It's kind of impressive at the time.
Insane.
Like I like when you worked at those companies, you worked with people who are super passionate about planes and stuff like that. And I grew an appreciation for it, but like I was never that passionate about it. But
what were some of the things that people would say that you'd be like, wow, you must really love planes?
Like they love the interiors. They would research the interiors all the time. They would know all the evolution of like airplanes. They would go to like school specializing in like aeronautics and stuff like that. And I'm like, you go for it. I literally like, I'm so stupid, right? Because I grew up in Yakima. Yakima is it's not known for like its stellar academic.
Well, did you do really well in high school?
I did okay. I did relatively okay to like Yakima, which isn't saying a lot. But like what I mean by this is like when I got my job at Boeing, that was a company.
Okay.
I got an internship with Boeing right after high school, going to college. It was like a program with University of Washington. And so like when they called me, like the university, and like, would you like this program, whatever, I was like, yeah, okay, it's a job, like sure. I thought they were gonna have me do like janitorial work around there, right, to like earn money, like labor,
paper pushing.
Yeah. And I called my friend, I remember this, and I was just like, guess what, I got a job. And she's like, oh cool. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be working for a company, it's called Bowling or something. And she goes, what? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, you mean Boeing? I was like, oh yeah, that's what it's called. And she's like, do you know what they do? I was like, I have no idea. And so she's the one who told me like they built airplanes. And I was like, I didn't know that was a thing that happened in Washington State more specifically. So it was just all very foreign to me.
Yeah. Was this during the time where they were kind of having issues with,
No.
do you know what I'm talking about? Like how, do you still work with them?
No, but they have issues with 737s. And then
like two of them crashed in like a 3 month span.
Yeah, no, that was after I left, which is probably why, because I did absolutely nothing there.
I was going to say you were in charge of making them not crash.
Yeah, to stay up or whatever.
What was your high school experience like?
Oh,
in a small town.
So my high school experience, it was like, so I never got picked on, right? Which is kind of like a weird thing for me because I feel like I should have in my like profile, like,
why?
You know, gay Mexican who's like short and kind of scrawny at the
but
time.
But in high school,
like,
were you pretty, I don't want to say like in the closet, but were you like, did everyone kind of think that
like,
you were the bro in the sports team?
I'm in the closet, like, yes, I'm in the closet, but like, I think everybody knew I was gay, right? And I'm sure like, people would ask me like, oh, are you gay? And I remember, but like, I would
say no though,
well,
right?
yeah, right? Because you couldn't say yes. Because I didn't like, I understand that at the time. Well, I did understand it, but I didn't want to accept it. I was very religious too, so like I would like pray about it and be like, God, please like take the gay away or whatever.
Oh shit, no way.
Yeah, but like sometimes like I know there's a God. I do because like he made like now that I think about like women and vaginas, I'm like ugh, and I'm like he always had a plan for me. I just needed to like trust him more. But yeah, like I was like well liked. In high school, I actually in high school we have like in Yakima they have each major high school has like a boys pageant, and so like there was like I went to a high school called East Valley, so there was like Mr. East Valley pageant, and then there was a Mr. East Valley, and then there's a Mr. Toppenish or Mr. Wapato, like they all had a boys pageant.
It was
right?
called pageant though for the boys.
It was a pageant for boys, but the pageant was called Mr. and then your high school name.
It's not like homecoming.
No, it's different. It's big. And so what happened is usually it's for seniors. And so the high school votes for like the top, maybe like 10 seniors, boy seniors in the high school. And then at least for our school, they had a big assembly. And then they like tell you who are the top 10. And then throughout the year, like for like a good amount of months, like a couple months at least. Whoever gets chosen, like whoever gets voted in, then has to raise money, and then they have a big pageant at the end, right? Okay,
Like between all the schools in the area?
No,
or?
Within your school.
And how many people went to your school? Your high school, since it was a small
in
town.
total was like, my high school was probably under like 250, I would say total, right? So in like the senior class, there's probably like 100 of that or something like that. Anyways, so I got nominated to be part of the boys pageant, which I thought was kind of cool. So we would do, you know, I was like, because it was like, I didn't think I was like popular by any means, but I think people just liked me in general, like probably had pity. And so anyway, so then we raised money. I didn't raise that much money. Like I wasn't like, all the white kids raised more money, right? Because like they could get to their parents. So like, my parents were like, okay. Anyways, and so then like we had to do our pageant, and at the end it was like a big pageant at the local. It's called Capitol Theater. It's like the big theater in like the city, and like the whole town comes out or whatever. It's like a pretty big deal. And then like, so the pageant is you have to do like an opening dance number with the guys, and then you have to do a talent with a kid. And my kid was my little brother, who at the time was probably like 10 or 11, something like that. And we did like a little break dance, but he did more of the break dance than I did. So people like that. And then we had to do a talent. And my talent was to sing, but I sang with a background vocal track. So you couldn't really hear me, but it sounded good.
Well, how do you mean? It was like instrumentals and you were singing over it?
No, like they just played and the guy was singing and then I was singing. It was like karaoke basically, but with like a backtrack. And then at the end we had to answer a question. And I remember one of my questions was like, if you could invent anything, what would you invent? And I remember I answered, I would invent a car seat toilet, because when you gotta go, you gotta go.
Oh shit, everyone ate that up.
People loved it.
Yeah,
like,
that's funny. You like, I want to be a comedian.
Yeah, and I ended up winning. Like I ended up winning the whole thing. So I got I still have a picture somewhere.
Whoa, can you send it? Do you have it?
I'll send. I'll send it.
If you find it, we're popping it up right here. Hopefully you found it.
I'm pretty sure I still have it. Okay. So I'll send it to you. At least it's on my Facebook. And it's so weird because I made my dad and my mom go, right? My parents are very Mexican, like very, very Mexican. And like my dad didn't know what the hell was going on. My mom had even less of an idea.
Do they speak English pretty well?
My dad does. Yeah. And so like when I won, the parents usually come up on stage, but my parents didn't know that. So they had to kind of like tell them to. Like just remember my dad's like eyes, like, what the fuck is this? And why am I on stage? And this is like so ridiculous. And still they didn't know I was gay. Like what? That's probably like the most gayest thing possible.
You know, I think that parents sometimes will just not really even think that that's a possibility. Not that it's like a bad thing, but it just won't cross their mind.
What I agree. Well, I think like if you understand, if you have more context around like the society you're in, sure. But my parents, again, when I say grew up very Mexican, they did. I was the biggest Britney Spears fan. Like when I tell you I was the biggest Britney Spears fan, posters all over my room. I had cups of her. I would buy magazines, cut her out, and then tape her on my wall.
So did your parents tell their other friends about this?
They just thought I had the biggest crush on her.
Right.
Like I wanted to be her. Do you know what I mean?
And said they thought you wanted to marry her.
Yeah, they thought like, oh, that's Gilberto's crush. And it was like any other parent would have been like, my Twinkie kid loves a pop diva.
Did you have pictures of like shirtless guys in your room?
No, because I knew that was bad, right? Like,
well, maybe then your parents would be like, yeah, and he wants to be a bodybuilder also.
Yeah. And my son is a bottom. Like, they must have known that. Yeah. But that's how we, right? And when I came out to them, my mom was like, I was like, did you guys not? And she was like, no. And I was like, Mom, like, when was the last time I had a girlfriend? And she goes, I just thought you were so busy with work.
Well, did you have a few girlfriends?
I did have one. Okay. I did have one girlfriend in high school. I feel so bad for her. I mean, she's doing great now. She has like a family and stuff like that. But like we never kissed. We maybe held hands. I was like freshman 16, year? 17, something like that. Year? Yeah. We never like, it was the most platonic thing ever.
Were you guys best friends before you started dating?
No, I think we were just like good AOL friends that like mounted to a beard.
I remember.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel bad for her that I was her first boyfriend experience.
But that happens to a lot of girls and guys.
Yeah, but now her husband looks very manly compared to me. So
right, she's overcompensating.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting. People have thought I'm gay before.
What?
Yeah.
No, I got
sometimes that. I give a little bit of gayness.
And not at all.
Not at all, really?
Zero, no, I mean with you, not at all. You're not 0% gay?
Are you asking me or telling me?
No, I'm asking you. I'm not. 0% gay.
I mean, like when
it is a spectrum, so don't be canceled. But that's true.
When I was in middle school, I thought it was funny to like put my fingers in my friends' butts during recess.
Wow.
That was like
That's
a little gay.
telling.
But then all my like people 2 weeks later, everybody was doing it. That was like the gay start. And then also people were making fun of me because I didn't have hair on my legs. People thought I shaved my legs.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So I had like 2 or 3 years where
Yeah.
I was like, am I gay?
If you could take a pill
Am
right
I
now
gay?
to be gay, would you? That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
I
I'm
would.
good.
I would to be gayer.
What do you mean to be gayer
love
though?
it. I want to be even more gay.
I would imagine that it's just easier to kind of get along with people if you're gay, right?
I always, when I envisioned, like, when I accepted the fact that I was gay, and then I accepted like, I could, because when you're in the closet, I'll only speak from my own experience. I couldn't actually see my future. Like, I would like close my eyes and I wouldn't see my future. Like, not like I'm gonna like not live way, but just like I couldn't see beyond what I knew that time. When I accepted I was gay, I could actually see my own future, like what I wanted aspirationally, which is kind of cute.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
have you seen that comedy wise also, just to piggyback off
What do you
that?
mean?
Like see yourself in the future. You saying you couldn't see yourself being in the closet homosexual, but like being a comedian, you can see yourself in the future, like aspirationally.
yeah,
Like,
now I can
Right,
because
right.
I feel like I'm a great comic.
yeah. Which I agree. You're very funny.
Thank you. That's literally the clip. That's just the clip right there. So like
I think you're a great comic. Thanks. We start to make out. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
he's not gay. He just likes fingers up there
I just like
sometimes.
attention. Yeah.
He just likes fingers there sometimes, and so do I. And so like I'm a little hot. Yeah. So wait, I forgot what I was saying.
Yeah. I got distracted. It's something about me making out. With you.
Oh yeah, the future stuff. Oh yeah. So I always like was like, oh yeah, I could see myself being a father, right? Like, so I was like, oh yeah, kids. But he's 11 years older than I am, and though I could see myself being a father, I know that I want him and my future with him more than I would not want it and want a maybe future with kids.
Wow.
Like that's what I do know. And
Interesting.
everything in therapy that has taught me is you're supposed to like plan for what you know right now, like make decisions for today, versus trying to make too many decisions in the future.
Does he have kids?
No, he's gay. What? No, and he doesn't want kids, and I so respect that. On our third date with my fiance, which was like the 10th time we met, because you know what I mean, like the first couple times wasn't a date. On our third date type of thing, he comes to me, he goes, "I just want to let you know now." He's like, because I brought it up before. He's like, "I don't want kids." He's like,
Wow, respect
I
that.
don't want kids. He's like, and it's not anything bad. He's like, "I know you do want kids, and I tell you this now because I don't want you to waste your time if that's something super, super important to you." That was like such a respectable way of saying it. And I'm a crazy Latina girlfriend. And I was just like, I only want you. And so like, I was like, and like, I thought a lot about it. I had a lot of conversations with my family and brothers and stuff like that. And like, that's why I feel really confident in what I'm saying, because that's what I do know I want. And it feels good when I look at my core. It's like, yeah, I know feels right. Right?
Yeah.
So find you a girl that's like me.
Yes. The Latina version of you.
Yeah. Are you into Latinas?
Yeah. Sure.
No, that's not strong enough.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
No.
Yeah. I'd like to find a Jewish girl. I'm Jewish.
You are?
I am.
Okay. Am I
So
supposed to
that'd
know
be
that?
nice. No.
Oh.
No.
Well, I only say that because I come to New York. Okay. So grew up in Washington State.
Yes.
Right. Whatever.
I'm sure there are not a lot of Jews.
None.
In your town.
None.
And
none.
then in New York, it's like
none.
every fifth
Everything.
person for real.
And then I go into like, I talk to people or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, so-and-so, they're Jewish. I'm like, how do you know that? And they're like, and then they say their last name, and I'm like, it's obvious. I'm like, I have no idea how to tell people.
Berkowitz. Yeah.
Or like they're like, come on, look at them, which I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah, that's
right.
fucked.
And I'm just like, I literally have no idea if someone's Jewish or not. So you have to tell me that you're Jewish. So congratulations. I will
Thank you.
also say,
Appreciate that.
you know how a lot of gay guys emulate black women, like especially white gays, like they try to be black women, like
How?
like their terminology, the way that they behave. Like you'll notice it more if you're like attuned to it.
Like what's some of the things that they would say? Black terminology.
They'll like if things like if they're like, I don't know how to say this. I don't know how to, like it's just a known fact. Like they'll start being like, yes, queen, or like, they'll start doing stuff like that.
Definitely.
Right. It's not really in their own,
Yes.
like where did you learn that? Right. You did. Anyways, I don't want to get into that, but I don't want to be a black woman. I want to be a Jewish woman. I've realized since coming to New York, I love it so much. Like I wish I could be Jewish in a lot of senses. Like I want to go to a Zabar's and know exactly what I'm doing. I want to ask everybody all the time, is this kosher? Like, I just am so infatuated with Jewish culture.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of love it.
It's fun. I had a bar mitzvah. I still remember my Torah portion.
I just like, I don't know what that means. But
it's like a whole spiel that I did when I was 13 years old.
Did that chart on iTunes?
Yeah,
it's a good song.
It's all over the gram, all over YouTube.
So I sometimes, I mean, I hope this sounds good because it really is more like a celebration of when I'm walking around New York City and I see a woman who now I can kind of like see like, oh, they may be Jewish. I'm like, oh my, I'm so infatuated with them. Like just like the shortness sometimes, the like always having an opinion about everything, always being super, super direct. Like I love it.
We're a small group, and a lot of us exist in New York, which is interesting. New York City.
Yeah, I just find it so like telling. Yeah. And like most other comics also too that I meet are probably Jewish. They always talk about it.
About being Jewish?
Yeah, in their acts.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But I mean, I can't talk about it because I don't know too much about it.
Did you ever do improv?
No, I'm too stiff.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm too like I like comedy because I kind of know I'm not gonna okay, so the way I used to do comedy would be like, I'm gonna go on stage, I have my script in my head, and I know exactly what I'm gonna tell you. And someone can scream from across the room and I'm not gonna pay attention to you because you're gonna get through the script. That was okay. But now I'm a little bit more like, let me take the energy in from the room and see it, which I like more. But it's, it depends if you're working on tape or not. But I can't ever just go on stage and just not know exactly what I want to say. And so like that scares me, and like not having like at least an outline in my head scares me because then I don't like, I can go off the rails. So improv scares me because I feel like I'm too rigid and I wouldn't be able to think on my feet a lot.
You were talking about doing an hour in London. Have you done comedy in Spanish at all?
No. Like the thing is like, that's the other thing too. Like growing up in Yakima, like my first, I have a joke right now where I'm like, I'm bilingual because, my second tongue was English, but my first tongue was my uncle's. No, we're not talking about that. But it wasn't, I wish. It wasn't. So I grew up speaking Spanish. It was my very first language. And then because like I grew up in a very like, I don't know, just very conservative town, I didn't want to be Mexican. And so I only really wanted to learn English. And so I tried really, really hard to get rid of my accent, even though it's like underlying there. And in the process of that, I also started forgetting my Spanish because I wasn't using it. Like I would only speak English. And so like now I wish I speak Spanish, don't get me wrong. But I can understand all of it.
And your parents are speaking it at home?
All the time. Right. Yeah. My mom still says like, when you're around me, you only speak Spanish. Like it's very much ingrained in me, but I forget it. So like if in comedy, it would be very difficult for me to speak Spanish because a lot of comedy is like thinking on your feet, being quick, reacting, like the precision of words that you have to use. And so because I've lost a little bit of that, like I'm doing in Spanish, though I would want to try. I think I could do like 5 minutes if I like mapped it out.
But growing up in a small town, did you ever feel like super different from other kids?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And like, first of all, can I just say I'm hearing myself speak and I have an amazing voice.
Yeah, you do.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I just thought about
great,
that.
Yeah,
I was just like,
nice. Props to you. You sound good.
Yeah, I just somebody.
You do.
Please.
Yeah, somebody had to say it.
Next time you can step.
I was thinking
Wait, is that my water?
Yeah.
Can I take some water?
Please.
Okay, 2 seconds. I should really be on a morning show.
Sometimes guests get concerned that I pour the water before the comics get here, but I can assure you, there's no ketamine.
Are you kidding me? I'm gay. I hope you roof me. No, that's not the clip. That's a joke. I don't hope. But I am feeling kind of loopy right now. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, slow down.
No, yeah. Growing up was like, it was like, okay. It took me a long time to appreciate who I am. Right. And everyone goes through a journey. I'm still going through a journey, whatever. But I'm closer to than I was. And so like, I feel like my younger teen years was trying to get away from who I was. I really, you know what I mean? Like I didn't really want people to know I was Mexican, even though I fucking look it. I really didn't want people to know I grew up very poor. I didn't want people to know I speak Spanish, like all that, right? Like now I think about it, I'm such an asshole, but my parents still bring this up. Like my parents were farm workers, right? And so like and that was my first job, but my parents, like the way they supplied, like they fed us and had a house over us, they picked fruit. Like when you think of Mexican, you think of picking fruit. Like that's what my parents did.
Was
like,
that on your land or somewhere
girl
else?
on my land?
I don't know.
I just told him I grew up
like picking fruit.
I just told him I grew up poor, and he's like, "Oh, is it on your land?"
No, I didn't know you grew up poor.
That's such a Jewish question.
You were saying
that's such a
that
Jewish
you grew up
question.
as a farmer. I didn't know if it was your land. You didn't specify.
No, it was definitely not our land. It was land stolen from the Native Americans by white people.
Well, there you go.
So there you go. But it was for a couple, right? My parents they would get up like, so this is a typical day growing up. Like my mom would get up around 3 to 4 in the morning. And if she also worked too, but sometimes when she didn't work, because sometimes she wouldn't work, like on seasons that were off, specifically in the winters, it was men usually that worked during the winters. Women would work like spring and summer because it was like better temperature, and they also would need more people during that time. And men would do kind of even more labor and groom work during the winter because it was all outside. Anyways, she would get up 3 in the morning. She would make my dad food, like, and pack his lunch, make tortillas every morning because my dad would not eat store-bought tortillas. And then like he would then go to work at that time and come home around, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 p.m. And so like, but they would come home dirty every day. Because if you're working outside, you're going to get dirty. You're in dirt all the time. And like my dad's truck was very, very dirty from the outside, like gobs of dirt, because he was always in muddy roads and like, it's field. It's literally field.
And it's like raining a lot in Washington.
Yeah, that too.
Just quickly, how many days out of 365 did it rain in your town?
Oh no, for my town, it was seasonal. It was seasonal in that sense. You're thinking of Seattle, which has a higher rain precipitation, whatever. Sure. Which I have a funny story about the precipitation, and that's not the point. I'm all over the place. I think I have ADHD, but I'm not. So my dad's truck was very dirty, and so like sometimes I would have to catch the bus to go to school and stuff like that. But sometimes for one like specific reasons, they would have to drive me to school. I hate saying it. I would have them not drop me off in front of the school. Oh, yeah, because I was so embarrassed of how dirty the truck was.
That was like, sometimes I would get embarrassed like my grandparents dropping me off at school. I don't know what it is.
I think it's different what we just are experiencing right now.
But I'm just saying, like, being embarrassed of your parents sometimes.
Yeah, I was embarrassed, right? And so like that's kind of a whole thing now. Like, and now obviously like I appreciate it, and I have much more of a fond feeling for all of that type of stuff. But at the time and moment, it was very much like trying to get away from that, right?
What was your bit about precipitation?
Okay, so the other thing too is like in middle school, I think I was going to talk this much about my upbringing.
No, we love it.
Do we love it? It should be Ted Jones' world and your world.
Yes,
as
and
your upbringing.
Your world as your upbringing.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to fit here. So I'm into storytelling, right? So I did a story the other day around, I forget what the topic was, but basically it was around how in middle school I ran for school president, right? For school president. And I tied for school president with a popular girl in school. And I was so pissed off because...
Wait, tied? That's crazy.
Like literally vote for vote. And I remember they counted it a couple times and they brought us into the office and stuff like that. And they're like, do you guys want to be co-presidents?
So it's like 150, 150?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But I was pissed off about that because my best friend, who was my neighbor at the time, he was a troublemaker, got detention that day that we voted. And so he was in detention and they didn't give him his right to vote. Which, if you think about it, should have started my origin story of how I became like a lawyer and like was all about for felon rights, but it didn't. But right, and so because of that, we tied, which I was pissed about. But whatever, I should have won, but I didn't. And so they gave us being co-president, so that was fine. Anything's better than anything. So one of the perks of being co-president was that I sometimes got to do the morning announcements, right? So again, English is a second language. I'm not very smart. I don't know all the words. It's still to this day like makes me like, if I don't know a word, I'll look it up and see how you pronounce it and stuff like that. And we had to do morning announcements doing the weather. And so one time I was like, I had to do the weather, and I remember saying something like, and there's a 50% chance.
Oh, that's a tough word. It's a tough word.
And I said of participation.
Yeah.
Versus precipitation.
Right.
And everyone in the school made fun of me.
That's a tough word, though, even in middle school.
But not just that. We went to an underfunded public school. How do they know the word?
Yeah.
Like, that's what
You know what? I bet it was like one kid in the class knew what it was, said it out loud, and then everybody else joined along.
And he probably wasn't a voter.
Yeah. But that's interesting. Your friend wasn't allowed to vote because he was in detention, which is kind of like America's laws. You know, you can't vote if you're in prison.
It should have taught me something. It should have taught me something. But I also ran for like I was always like in like student government.
Do you have any interest in pursuing politics in the future?
None at all. But I think if I did, I probably would win. I ask my friend this all the time. I'm like, what do I need to do to be a real New Yorker? Because I sometimes feel like a New Yorker.
Yeah.
But she tells me you're not a New Yorker.
No, I think what you're doing now is pretty New York. You go to a bunch of different comedy clubs. You get ice cream with your friends. You walk around a lot. You go to the gym. There's not much. I mean, you can go to nightclubs.
For me, like a real New Yorker. Yeah. Oh, I have a thing about nightclubs. But first, let me finish the sentence. Like, for me, being a New Yorker is just speaking your mind a lot more.
Sure.
And like, that's the thing I really love about New Yorkers is just that it's very direct. It's a very direct conversation. It's also very much like, I don't want to use the word forgiving, but if they get it off their chest, it's off their chest. You can move on, which I think is a really great way of communication versus like in Seattle where it's very much like passive aggressive. And all my friends since I moved here have told me that I've gotten a lot more direct. And I really kind of pride myself.
I think you're pretty direct
because I like
from this conversation.
Yeah, I really like that.
And you also think about New York. The pace is like, we don't have time for the passive aggressive shit. You know, gosh. Like we'll be dead by the time we do that passive aggressive.
And and I was walking and a rat literally went over my shoe, and I was like, "This is pretty New York.
That is fucking New
York. That's pretty New York."
You get shit on, and then your friend who you're with is like, "They say it's good luck." Meanwhile, you've shit on your head from a bird.
I never wanted to move to New York in my life. I always thought it was just like.
I'm interested as to why you chose New York over LA.
Oh yeah, so one was a comedy thing, but two, New York scares the shit out of me.
Oh, that's good.
Right, like, and so I'm always thought you should do the things that scare you,
make you uncomfortable.
I'm like, because I'm in my 30s. Why am I gonna go to things that make me feel safe? No, I don't grow from that. And so like I came to New York because I thought it was so scary, and it turns out to be some of the nicest fucking people you'll ever meet.
So you moved here,
which I'm pissed off about.
You moved here just like during the pandemic.
March 2020, literally March 2020, and I moved. I actually was supposed to move here in April, but I moved it up because at that time there was talks about closing the borders down and stuff like that, and I was like, I'm not gonna get stuck in like London, and so like I moved up. The thing is, I had my Airbnb already rented out for 2 weeks. I had like one of those real estate agents because I didn't know any better to show me around to give me an apartment, and then everything closed. That real estate agent said I can't show you around anymore. Like everything's closed. My Airbnb canceled. I literally had nowhere to stay. I literally decided to come to New York in a week's notice. Packed up everything that I had, which is like 3 suitcases because I didn't have much. Came here, and thankfully one of my coworkers at the time for my new company was like, well, I'm moving back with my parents. If you want to move into my place, it's a studio in Chelsea, like you can. And I did, and that was there for like a couple of months until I found my new place. But it was like I knew when I came to New York, I knew maybe 2 people. I'm not even exaggerating, like 2 people I actually knew. I knew nobody else. Like I had literally no idea who anybody else was. So what I would do, I'm so lonely. Like I would work, and then I would alternate those friends. I would see one friend 1 week and the other friend another week. So I always had at least one person to hang out with for the week. Other than that, I would take walks and read a book like in the park.
That's one of the more New York things you could do.
But it was by myself.
No, that's what I mean. I was gonna say by yourself too. Like West Side Highway, Central Park.
Just the one thing about like coming here during pandemic time, and it was my first experience, was like I saw New York through a lens of it being like super lonely. Like I would walk
you to ease into
I walked everywhere. I walked Times Square. I saw maybe 5 people throughout the whole thing. I walked the Brooklyn Bridge, not a single person. The financial district, dead. I would just walk and walk and walk, and it was just like a ghost town. It was like such an eerie feeling, and that's how I got used to New York. And so then when it became busier, I got a little annoyed because it didn't feel like it was my city anymore, which was weird to say, but I had like this like a attraction to the city when it was so lonely because I felt like I was the only person in here. I felt like I owned it. And now I'm like, okay, I have to share. And now I love it.
I was going to ask what the transition was like coming from a quiet, eerie New York to like back to better than it's ever been before.
Now I'm
Now
like,
you're in the mix.
I love like, let's go for it. Like, yeah,
You like
I
the
love
quick pace.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's, you never feel centered here though. Right? Like,
How do you mean?
like, you know, when you go to like, my fiance was saying this. It's like, you know, in New York, you're literally on concrete.
He's from New York.
He's no. He's from West Virginia. He's a corn-fed American. We like that. A white.
We like farmers.
Huh?
We like the
Oh
farmers.
yeah. Well, he didn't grow up in a farming village, but like, yeah. But yeah, like it's hard to go to concrete, put your feet on concrete, and feel like you're
Like connected.
Versus when you go to the wilderness,
put your
you
feet
feel
in
like
the
that.
grass
You know
and
what I
in
mean? Like
soil.
LA or some shit like that, or like sand. Yeah, and so like that's what I mean by that. But I wouldn't change it for the world because we like to rent cars, like a car, and go upstate sometimes and do that. And like, you know, you have to do little escapes, but then like you leave New York for a longer period of time, like 2 or 3 days, and you go to a different town, and you're like, okay, this is cool, but
let's
there's
get back
no
to New York.
comparison.
Yeah.
Like there's just no comparison. You know what I mean? Like there just isn't. Like you take the good with the bad, and you know what I mean? I mean, you know what I mean.
Definitely. Like anytime I'll go to Miami for 4 nights. By the 4th day, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to get back to New York.
Yeah.
Go to LA for 5 nights, same situation.
Yeah.
And it's like being in New York, you can go out and stop at 4 different stores, get everything that you need. In LA, those 4 different stores are all 10 minutes apart from each other. So it takes 10 times as long to accomplish those same things that you do in New York. You know what I mean? In New York, it's just everything's so much quicker.
Yeah,
the world is New York.
Someone
That's how I
always
feel
told me about
sometimes.
New York, and I agree with this. He's like, you know, if New York has the second best of everything. He's like, if you want great Italian food, you go to Italy. If you want the best next Italian food, you go to New York.
And same with maybe Mexican food too, right? You go to
I don't
Mexico.
know about that.
Well, Mexican food and
you
Mexico,
go to LA.
then LA.
Yeah. No,
So maybe
there's
third
no
best.
good Mexican
We're
food.
top
There's
3.
no good Mexican food in New York.
Oh my God, I was about to be like, Chipotle is good.
Maybe if your listeners know, like,
I don't mind Chipotle.
Do people know?
Well, I have vegan Mexican food sometimes. Yeah.
That's not Mexican.
Which is
That's not Mexican.
pretty good.
That's not
for
Mexican.
vegan Mexican.
that's literally not Mexican. That's
It's
Jewish.
yeah.
That's Jewish Mexican.
Maybe that's why it's JA.
And I know what you're talking about,
yeah.
but no, like I've never like sometimes I have a good craving for Mexican food, and I can never scratch that itch.
Do you ever go to the stands where they make burritos?
No, I'm not.
You know what I mean?
I've like, so we went like, I'm also like, I'm becoming a little less Mexican too, which I'm kind of nervous about because like we went, so I took my fiance to Mexico, like, cause you know, my parents are also from rural Mexico.
Where?
Like
Part?
it's Jalisco,
Oaxaca.
but one more time.
Oaxaca? Fuck. It's first of all, it's spelled Oaxaca. Oaxaca.
I like how he like white explained to you what a Mexican like.
It says
It's actually
Oaxaca.
it's not spelled the way it should be for me to say it.
Yeah.
It's Oaxaca.
Fuck.
But
I knew that.
No, they're from Jalisco, but they're like rural town. Anyways, I took them there, and we're having a great time. You know, I have this whole joke. Oh shoot! Oh, I don't say that part of that joke anymore. Okay, sorry.
Are you gonna add it now?
Huh?
Are you gonna add it now that you just remembered?
No. Yeah, well, I used to say it and then I don't. But basically, like, we went to Mexico in May, and one was for him to visit my parents in rural Mexico, and then we went to Puerto Vallarta right after for a gay birthday party thing, right? And the whole joke is, how do you pack for that trip? And I go into it.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we're in Mexico, we go. He's like with my parents. It was cool. It was whatever, like nice, and he was eating everything. And then we go into Puerto Vallarta, and he got some type of like illness, like not a travel's illness. It's called travel's illness. It's called because he was around livestock, so he got, I forget, some type of, not infection, but like a bug. He got like a stomach bug, and it ruined the whole Puerto Vallarta trip. Like he was literally in bed the whole time. We actually came back early because he was so sick. And I was just thinking to myself, like, oh, this poor little white stomach.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you have like absolutely no, your body isn't fighting for you.
Yeah.
And then
Bad
towards
gut
the end of the
bacteria.
trip, I got sick, and I was just like, shit, I'm turning white. Like I can't have this happen. Like my stomach should be used to this type of like no, I cannot be getting sick from my own country. That's kind of bad. Have you been to Mexico?
I've been to Cancun like 3 times in my family, but besides that, no, not like rural Mexico.
No, I wouldn't.
I'd be down.
No, you wouldn't. No, because then this is what's gonna happen.
I'm tan enough.
You would go to Mexico. You'd go to rural Mexico.
Yeah.
You're gonna find, especially where I'm from, like there's very beautiful people.
Oof.
And so you'll find like a very beautiful woman there. And then Latinas are crazy, and they're gonna latch onto you, and you're gonna be like, I don't want kids, and they'll be like, what do you mean you don't want kids?
You pendejo.
Exactly.
Tus pelotas are mine.
So stick to Cancun. Go find yourself a girl that came from Minnesota that's also visiting, and you'll be fine.
The Jewish ladies from Minnesota.
Yeah. Oh yeah, wait. Why do you want a Jewish woman? Like, why is that important?
I would like my children to be Jewish.
Why?
Because there are not that many of us, and I want to keep the lineage going.
Oh, are you practicing?
Yeah, I'm a Reformed Jew.
I don't know what that means.
There's like Reform, Conservative, and Orthodox. Reform being I celebrate like 3 holidays: Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Passover. So
is it like a menu?
Yeah, those are the 3. Those are like the 3 Reform /
Reformed. What is it again?
Well, Reform Jewish, they usually celebrate Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, which is the New Year. So Rosh Hashanah, you repent for your sins.
Yom Kippur sounds like a soup.
Yom Kippur, it does actually. Yom Kippur is the New Year, and then Passover is like the kind of like the main Jewish holiday. I need to fucking redo my research here, so I don't want to blow up my spot with saying
He's super
what Passover
Jewish.
is. But yeah, I had a bar mitzvah. I'm Jewish, but
and then the second one down is what?
What do you mean? The holiday?
Yeah.
Well, there's Reform Jews, and then there's Conservative Jews.
What's conservative?
You're a little bit more observant of the holidays. Maybe you celebrate like a few more holidays.
Okay.
And then Orthodox, which some of my family members were for a period of time.
And then
and they would be like fully kosher. They'd have their own plates. They couldn't cook in the same oven as something if it wasn't kosher. But that's like the really intense.
Yeah, I love that. Jews. Is this kosher?
With these microphones?
I mean, anything. It better be. Because I don't
Is this podcast kosher? Yes. Of course.
Okay, so that's why it's important to you. But couldn't you still have Jewish children if you didn't marry a Jewish person?
Theoretically, it's the woman who bears the child.
Oh, so it
has to be a Jewish woman. So if you're a Jewish woman and you have a child and the man is not Jewish, the baby's still Jewish.
Okay. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's just a nice little piece of me that I would like to continue on.
Are you on J-Hinge?
Ginge, you mean?
I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, Ginge.
Oh, is that Ginge?
No, imagine.
You're not?
There's something called Ginge.
Oh,
no,
J-Swipe. J-Swipe.
J-Swipe, yeah,
right?
no, I'm not. But I don't really look for dates on dating apps.
What do you look for?
I should say. I don't know. Nothing. I just like swipe sometimes. And I'm like, And if she puts the effort in, I'm like, okay, let's go on a date. I'm not
this is what's wrong
going in on like such an intense freaking path.
I have a question.
Just because I've spent a lot of time doing that. I used to be a club promoter. So I had like a
you would be a fantastic club promoter.
Everyone says that. I had like a long period of my life, like 5 years, 5 summers in a row, where I was just going out like 5 or 6 nights a week and meeting a lot of different people. So.
Wow, that's. Do you drink?
I used to drink a lot.
Not anymore.
No, not anymore.
You're just not interested, or
I don't really feel well after I drink, which obviously is like normal. But
no, I get that. Like I think the older you get, like the less drinking is like such an importance. Yeah. Not saying that I don't. I actually like the taste of wine and certain wines, but like I now do mental math in my head before I have a drink.
Is it going to be worth it?
And most of the times it's like, oh, not really. Let me get a Diet Coke or something like that. Exactly. And like it's weird because before I would be like, that's the only thing I want to do is just drink because I want to forget about everything or whatever like that. Oh, okay, that's interesting. But you would be a fantastic club promoter.
Well,
I could see that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, why'd you stop?
It was just like dead ends and I was getting sucked in too much to the point where you're working from 12 a.m. to 3 a.m.
But what was the benefit?
And that I'd get paid like $20 per girl that I bring to the club. And then I'd also get commission off of any bottle that I would sell on the table. So if a bottle's $500, I get $100.
You're a hustler.
So I would make a lot of money as like a 20-year-old before I could even legally drink. I was making like $1,000 sometimes.
That's like the Jewish side of you.
What, the hustler?
The hustler.
Yeah.
Like I like that. But see, like that's why I like the I don't know if it's gonna sound good or not.
Well, I think
I'm not saying that Jewish and money's like that, but like I like that you're like a go-getter, right? And I find that a lot within Jewish people. It's like you don't let things come to you. You're gonna go and find them. And like to me, that's like that is really how I grew up. Is like I can't just like sit around and do something because it will never happen. I need to go. That's why I have a hard time when people are like, well, if it's meant to be, it's gonna meant to be. I'm like, no. If it's meant to be, I'm need to go do it. Do you know what I mean? And so that's I can relate to a lot of that from you. Can I say one thing about clubs though? Sometimes like I'm with my man, we're like we'd like to do nighttime walks. That's the other thing too, like walks.
That's cute.
As a couple, I promise you, I think if more couples did walks together, it would probably save a lot of relationships. Because when we have a tough conversation or we had a tough conversation, we take walks. And like in the walks, honestly, when you're around nature, no matter if you're in New York, if you're around nature and just outside, if you're like at 100, it brings you down to like a 70. Right, just proportionally. And so it just like your whole body goes like it's just like so we love to do walks even if we're not having like conversations or like that, just to mellow out. We love a walk, winter, whenever, I don't care, as long as it's not raining. Anyways, so when we do walks, we are he's in Chelsea and there's a lot of clubs around Chelsea sometimes, and sometimes I see these fucking enormous lines to go into clubs, straight club, and I'm just like, that's so disgusting, like, ew. But I feel really bad for the women that are waiting in line to get in, because I'm just like, I don't know, if I was a woman and I was waiting in line, I wouldn't necessarily feel the prettiest going in, because I'm like, I just waited 2 or 30 minutes in line to go in. My confidence probably isn't going to be the highest now.
I guess girls can argue that it is the club to get into and New York is the place to go out clubbing. So maybe it would be worth it for the people to wait online.
But like,
for 30 minutes.
Do you know what I mean though? I'm just oh no. Like, I mean, like, stick to it, because you shouldn't come to the gay club I'm going to, but like definitely stick there. But yeah, it's just like, but I think they do it in straight clubs to show demand.
Definitely.
It's such a weird like brain fuck up. Yeah. Anyways, who has fun at clubs anymore?
One of my friends headlined Marquee the other night. It was his first time headlining. Wow. It was dope, but I went, I didn't drink, and this is the first time I've been out to a club like that intense in years, and me not drinking, hanging there, no girlfriend, no girls that I was really talking to. I was like, oh my God, the music is so loud. Yeah. And it was like 1:30, and I was like, fuck, I'm tired. Like, I want to go to bed. Like, I want to wake up in the morning, be able to work out, and not have my day completely ruined and wake up at 4 p.m. You know? So it was a nice little change of pace.
Didn't you get backstage access?
Yeah.
Oh wow. No, he knows people.
But bro, like whatever.
Wait, I want to do that. I feel very badass if I know somebody like even it can be big or small.
Well, dude, what are you doing Labor Day? Are you gonna be around?
No, I'm gonna be Fire Island.
Oh, right.
Yeah, being
nice.
Gay.
Okay, so up until Fire Island, you're gonna keep the diet up. Are you gonna tan at all?
Where? No, I don't tan.
Why not?
I mean,
I think maybe you get a little bit. I mean,
you mean like nice go to a tanning?
No. Go walk on the West Side Highway for an hour. Oh, get a little sweaty, and you get a nice glow.
Oh, like with my shirt? Nah,
that's what I do. No.
The thing is like Fire. Have you been to Fire Island?
No, I haven't. I would like to go.
I'm sure you would.
Well,
like, just saying. Yeah, it's quite a fuck up. It's like is
it actually a lot of gay guys? They say it's a lot, but
all gay guys. Well, really? Because Fire Island, it's people sometimes don't know this, but Fire Island is like it's broken up into different sections usually. Like it's you have the main most popular one is Fire Island Pines. That's the gays. It's all gay. Like I really never really see a non-gay person there who's not identifying as a man, because it's like it's really, and that's what's so special about it, is because there's very few places that do that. And then next to it is called Cherry Grove, which is predominantly a lot of lesbians, but also great, fantastic food on the Pines. And then there also, as I understand, there's also like more of like a section for like communities, like homes that are like sectioned off, like gated communities. I mean, for like rich people and stuff like that. So, all different islands, even though it's a little strip. But I only go to the gay part, and I do a lot of gay things.
So like not eat.
No,
like not
no. I don't really look forward to it anymore. And now that like the friend groups I'm going with are very, very fun and it's cool, and we do family dinners and that's nice. But it's just like a lot of fucking pressure to go there. Like when you're around a whole bunch of gays, as you know, like it's just like it's like muscles everywhere. It's a lot of like attitude. It's like, people, there's a lot of mental games and gymnastics going around, and then I get sucked into it, and then it's not nice. But if I can get past that part and just stay in my own little world,
yes,
then it's good.
I'm sure you'll have a great time.
I hope so.
Gilberto. How do you pronounce your first name?
Oh,
Gilberto.
No, it's
Gilberto.
Gilberto.
Soto.
Yeah, Gilberto. Can you roll the R's?
No. Gilberto Soto. Well, I'm sure I did better than a lot of people in your town, though, right? Growing up. Gilberto Soto.
He just wants a compliment. Yes, you did.
Before we get out of here, what do you got coming up? We're going to pop up your Instagram right here. Please let us know where we can find you.
What do I have coming up? Oh, you guys are coming to my Purple Park show at it's at Astoria Park. When is it? September 9th.
Oh, you're doing it outside?
Yeah, September 9th. Come.
Love that. And then September 7th, you're doing...
Oh, September 7th, I'm going to be in TEDJONESWORLD show at the Moxie.
In Chelsea. We love it. Gilberto.
Thanks.
Love you very much, man. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Guys, tune in, follow this guy, and we'll see you next time. Peace.